Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Getting your money working for you. Do you guys remember when I used to say that right at the beginning of the show? I know somebody pointed that out one time. I got rid of that because I like to keep these videos concise, get straight to the point, and move on with the content. Now, here's the market, not the cryptocurrency market, the stock market. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the daily. And guys, you can see that pesky beer flu is causing traders to sell. We're not only seeing it on the Dow Jones, we're also seeing it on the spiders. That's SPY for that ticker symbol. And guys, look at the NASDAQ, NDAQ for the NASDAQ. Not as bad, but still seeing a sell-off in the space. And we know this is because of that Black Swan event. The great thing about this is that once that beer flu thing gets all cleared up, it'll be an amazing time to buy stocks. But the question we're asking ourselves, is this a coordinated attack? And more importantly, is it being done on purpose so that Donald Trump gets thwarted for a second term? Guys, I'm going to go over some points here that points to a potential Democratic conspiracy. That's right, guys, this is a conspiracy video. And when you look at the evidence, it really is kind of shocking and a little scary, I gotta say. The good news, this could usher in a new era where XRP becomes leveraged for the liquidity because, well, we won't have a choice. I'm going to start this off with X22 Report at XR22 Report. Posted this on Twitter. Was this event planned from the beginning? This is their last shot. They know what comes next. And this is an article with regards to George Soros. So for those of you guys who do not know, George Soros is a bit of an odd character. He is a billionaire and he believes in a global world. And he has been known for funding many campaigns to push his agenda. So George Soros warns Trump of potential economic doom before the election. Now, this doesn't sound too conspicuous, does it? Well, liberal billionaire George Soros said Thursday that the U.S. economy could be headed for calamity as a result of President Donald Trump's efforts to juice American business and stock prices ahead of the 2020 election. Trump's economic team has managed to overheat an already buoyant economy, Soros warned his guests at an informal dinner at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Now, Davos, that seemed to have just happened, right? Well, Davos happened in January last month, and it was held between the 21st and the 24th. So at some point during the 21st and 24th of January, this is when George Soros warned of a financial collapse. Let's go back to these stock charts and see when we kind of first saw the economic collapse. I'm just going to go back to the S&P 500. And you guys can see here around February 19th, February 19th was kind of the last day before we saw the big plunge. Let me go to the Dow Jones. And we can see that coincides roughly here. Dow started a little sooner, so February 10th, 12th to 13th, we'll call it. I'm just going to bring up the TSX as well because all these markets, this is the Canadian Stock Index, and you can see markets around the world aren't faring too well. That was February 21st. So we're seeing these significant plunges in the market mid to mid-late February, and yet George Soros warns about this anywhere between January 21st and 24th. So that would have brought his warning in and around this area here. Okay, so you guys can see that. So it was anywhere around this area here before we saw a bit of a downturn. Then we saw the market go up, make higher highs, and then boom. But we're watching the news and we're realizing that this doesn't have to do with governments or with any kind of coordinated attack. This has to do with the beer flu, right? That pesky beer flu causing people to panic and causing people to sell off. Or does it? Let's keep going here. So this tweet from Reborn at Reborn13 on Twitter, market crash, blame the Fed Powell. The stage is set, all is coming to fruition, and he retweeted this out here from Ross_Vandermeer. Now, I hadn't heard about this guy until recently. Apparently, he made an XRP prediction of something like $2,000 per XRP plus by January 1st, 2020, or whatever it was. He did it at the end of last year. I wasn't paying too much attention to that at the time, but he tweeted this: economy is fantastic, greater than ever before, market crash, blame the Fed, Powell. The stage is set. Now, I don't know what day he posted this, but it's funny because recently we're seeing this now. Trump, we've been hurt by our own Federal Reserve. The same sentiments are coming out, and I have a feeling that this tweet was originally published before we saw the huge outbreak. So before this downturn, before this large crash. Okay, so, maybe it's just a coincidence. Who knows? Let's keep going down here. Gregory Manarino on Twitter. And again, President Trump on his knees begging for more debt, negative rates, and a weaker dollar. It is pathetic to see this happen to a sitting president. More debt is not the answer. So it sounds like he's not in favor of what President Trump is doing. Again, guys, this isn't a political show. I could care less what the right or wrong answer is. What I'm trying to just uncover here is a potential conspiracy. And more importantly, how's that going to affect XRP? Let's keep going. Mr. Ross was right about basic stuff we already know, but his price prediction were absolutely wrong. Okay, that was with regards to the $2,000 per XRP statement. Is Ross Vandermeer back? Well, you know what I thought was interesting? I go to Ross Vandermeer's Twitter, and the page doesn't exist. So he deleted his Twitter account, and I'm sure some of you guys might already know this. I found that quite peculiar. Maybe he was getting threats. I have no idea. People delete accounts all the time for various different reasons. I'm just going to go back to this tweet here because I also found some interesting points here. Crypto-@crypto_ODL on Twitter posts this: another $55 billion to prop up the repo markets. And so this with regards to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And we're seeing this money infused. Obviously, the Republicans have a lot of incentive to keep the market propped up so that they'll get reelected and they can use that as part of their platform. Look at how great the economy is done under President Donald Trump. So there are a lot of things going on here. Let's keep going on. Vivar Admira 1 here on Twitter posts this: read and dissect it. So I don't know what this is even from. I don't think he's put the source here, but it is interesting. Structure change coming to Federal Reserve banking system. Guys, this from December 10th, 2018. The plan to have the Fed raise rates, a steep incline, beginning March 2019 in an effort to kill the economy prior to the 2020 presidential election is known and planned for structure change incoming. So he's pointing to the possibility that there could be a bigger plan here at play. Fed raising rates, keeping the economy propped up. We know the election is very important, especially for the Republicans and Donald Trump at this point. He wants to run partially on a platform of, look at all the great things I've done for the economy. But what is this planned structure change? Interesting point. So BK Logan posts here: the last shot of the progressive left is to go after the economy. Just another thing here about George Soros and his reach. Posted here by Gerard Batten on Twitter with regards to this article. Now, I won't go into this article in depth because it's kind of off topic, but it just kind of gives you some background about George Soros and the fact that he does have clout. Credibility of European Court of Human Rights lies in ruins after judges' links to Soros revealed. So this had to do with some court cases with regards to his NGO. It's a human rights organization, Human Rights Watch, and there were some issues. And they found out that there were significant links to the judges who were dealing with this case and George Soros. Apparently, about a quarter of them were directly funded by George Soros for some other thing that they were doing. So just to kind of give you guys some context to this, I will link this article in the description if you want to keep reading about that. Thought that was kind of interesting, and it is important to see these connections. Mac at the Klingon on Twitter posts this: Democrats have wanted a recession for a while now. This is why they are implementing scare tactics and fear-mongering over the CV. If they get a recession, Trump can't run on the economy. David Brown posts down here: I've said it for 2 years. Elections are about the economy. They are desperate to destroy our nation, whatever it takes. Reprobates. Christian Gabriel: I understand these things take time to build a case. Awaken the public so there's no civil unrest. At this point, why is Soros and others not in a body bag? So people chiming in here with their 2 cents. Quite interesting to see what's going on. We've got some draining the swamp, or rather filling the swamp rather than draining the swamp here. I like this one by Remnant. Soros making billions shorting the markets, but you can't take your money to hell. That's a good one. Anarcho-Capitalism posts, George Soros is an enemy of the American taxpayers. He is adamant about his NWO, which is ultimately the death of America. And so this idea of, he essentially wants to eliminate borders and is not a fan of nationalism. This puts America's position on the global stage in jeopardy. There is no question about it. Of course, everybody and every organization, if you look at the bigger picture, have their reasons to do things. But let's continue here. The timing is too conspicuous and suspicious. I wouldn't put it past them. Dixie Lee posts, this is their last shot. Other than taking him out, they will do everything to destroy this economy, including a pandemic. Which brings me back to the beer flu. Millie posts here, his problem is the elections are 10 months away, and in a revolutionary solution that is a lifetime. That was a quote. In my opinion, he's working towards starting another American revolution to create chaos. First order of business, the pandemic. Create panic and fear for the normies. Number 2, tank the economy. In chaos, wet work is easier. So could this be coordinated? A pandemic, i.e. that thing coming out of Wuhan right now, and tank the economy and essentially thwarting a second term for President Donald Trump. Now guys, I covered this the other day, and the Wuhan thing might not be so far-fetched as a planned virus. Again, this from the 1981 Dean Koontz novel. If you guys hadn't seen that, a Dean Koontz novel written in 1981 predicted the outbreak of the virus. And in the novel, they even called it Wuhan 400 because it was developed at the RDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan, China. It's amazing how clear it's becoming and how similar what they're talking about in this book is to the beer flu that we are seeing today. Down here, I'm just going to read this in Viral Labs. Okay, so this is a tweet, a screen grab from a tweet from somebody at SafeTravel10 on Twitter. Is it the Wuhan code and something that has warned us before? Now this is going a bit far. Publication year 1981. Well, 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 1 equals 19. The year is 2019, the year when that pesky beer flu was introduced. Wuhan 400 mentioned in chapter 39, 3 plus 9 equals 12, is the month. So we've got December 2019, page 333. The 333 is the basis of the RNA polymerase protein used to reconstruct the beer flu phylogenetic. Also Wuhan 400. 400 is 20 times 20, the year 2020, when the beer flu becomes an epidemic. So more things to add here to that beer flu epidemic that we are witnessing that is indeed crashing the stock market and that is creating chaos worldwide. Now guys, where does Ripple fit into this? This from a year ago. I think this was originally posted in December 2018. Why Ripple will be the catalyst of the next liquidity crisis. So let's just remember something. This was written in 2018, way before any of this was happening, okay? Way before. This was all the way back, where was it? Right here, December 2018. This was all the way back here. Now, this could have also been seen as a possible coordinated crash here when we saw the stock market dip back in December 2018. However, we did see it recover, make new highs, and up until mid-February, it had made new all-time highs before. People were deeming the beer flu responsible for the market crash. Well, let's keep going here. So this post by somebody on Twitter who eventually deleted their handle. Why Ripple will be the catalyst for the next liquidity crisis. Number 1, rising interest rates through the Fed. All right, if you're not watching the screen, I'm going back to those screen grabs that are blaming the Federal Reserve for what is occurring. Number 2, money flows out of the emerging markets. Number 3, credit defaults. Number 4, liquidity shortages. Number 5, XRapid and XRP will get used from a few banks. Well, we're seeing that already now. XRapid, rebranded ODL, being used with a few banks and a few corridors as we speak. Number 6, this Nostro account gets closed. Number 7, the money from the Nostro accounts get free. Number 8, other banks also want more liquidity and close their Nostro accounts and use XRapid with XRP. More liquidity equals XRapid equals XRP. Santiago Valles responds down here, the interesting drawback of Nostro-Vostro accounts is that they don't count against the bank's capital requirements for the post-financial crisis, the stress test. This means that if there's a significant recession, many banks will want to retreat their correspondent bank position globally and look for products that offer on-demand liquidity. I wonder who might have something to offer in that regard. Well, we are posting on the Ripple Reddit. Down here, Dallyberg responds, the next financial crisis is currently predicted to be around 2020. Notice anything interesting in how that correlates to this particular crash? Remember, guys, this just happened a couple of weeks ago. The stock market is in free fall as we speak. They go on to say this is perfect timing for Ripple. They have a year to get the product out and working, growing liquidity and building trust, which is exactly what they're doing. Then during the expected 2020 crisis, when banks want to liquidate their Nostro-Vostro accounts in order to be able to pass a stress test, guess who's sitting there with a proven method to do that while they're still being able to offer the same functionality to your customers. It is amazing. LJ26FT on Reddit posts this. There will be a catalyst, but I'm not sure it's going to be XRP that sets it off. It's looking more like corporate leverage stock buybacks are going to black swan any day now. Over-leveraging corporations intentionally, pushing valuations higher and higher, inflating valuations. Well, we are seeing that right now in the stock market. It is being propped up. 75% of stock market businesses are over-leveraged. What happens when we hit higher interest rate territory or another event sparks a correction? Another event? Again, guys, remember, this was written back in December 2018. The answer? SHIT is going to tank harder than 2008, and when that happens, XRP will go on a tear for the liquidity reasons you outlined. Now think about it realistically, folks. We see XRP at a price of about 23, 24, wherever it's sitting right now. If XRP finally is put in a position to help the world's liquidity, I think seeing a double-digit XRP is a no-brainer. Could we go up as high as 3 digits in a relatively short time frame? Now, by relatively short, I mean within the next 6 to 12 months. You know, all the pieces of the puzzle, for this conspiracy at least, seem to be coming together to lay out a possible explanation and how liquidity crisis spurred on by billionaire influencers, along with what is supposed to be a black swan event, in some people's opinion, could really make that demand soar for XRP, leaving all of us cashing out at the bank. Anyways, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to be eligible for the Ledger Nano X giveaway. I'm giving one away, guys, on March 15th, but you have to be subscribed. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.